Hey everybody, this is Rydo and we're back to Cracking the Cryptic. So, last time we did puzzle number 19, Constant Overlap, which, it ran into some problems, I think, early. There still are just some major concepts here that the foundation was not laid to do these sample puzzles. Um, Somebody who knows how to do a classic Sudoku should be able to at least start playing the free to start levels of this game. And then when you throw in a variant like Thermo, there should be enough of a journey from this puzzle number one all the way to becoming a pretty good expert at Thermo puzzles before you run into another Thermo puzzle variant that is fairly challenging, which Constant Overlap was another Thermo puzzle that was very challenging. I could say the exact same thing about arrow variants too. I should have done an easy arrow variant that would have worked my way into doing a more difficult arrow variant. But let's hop into now a partial Kropke killer arrow Sudoku, which will have so much going along that either we're going to only solve a few things with each variant gimmick, or we are going to have to jump between multiples of ways of thinking. Although it may not be in that big of a deal because this killer box here and this killer box here don't have numbers in the top left corner anyways. So that's gonna mean we're gonna do the killer boxes fairly late in the solution. Anyways, the rules are, as usual, as always pretty much. Yeah, I'd like to see actually a Sudoku that doesn't have classic rules. But classic rules, the digits 1 through 9 must be in every row, every column, and every box. The killer variant are that these boxes here have all of the digits adding up to the number in the top left if a number is given, and numbers cannot be repeated inside the cage, which in this case, since numbers aren't given, numbers can't be repeated inside this cage, means something kind of unique in that all of these digits and all of these digits are going to synergize to figure out what these digits are, or what these digits are, and possibly also what these digits are. Then we have the arrow variant that says the numbers along the shaft of the arrow must summon to a number, which we can start by saying the lowest combination here would be 3 with a 2 and a 1, and the highest combination would be some variant that gives us 9. 4 and 5 would probably be the one way you could get to that. And we can certainly just echo that exact same possibilities in each of these other arrows because they're all pointing to exactly 2 digits. But the numbers here are going to uniquely have to be different from the numbers here and the sum, which may limit us somewhat, quite a bit. Yeah, it could be quite a bit of a limitation. And then we have partial Kropke, which partial just means not all possible dots are given. Kropke means a white dot between 2 cells, like here and here, have 1 digit away from each other. They're consecutive. So this could be a 3, and then this could be a 2 or a 4. Yeah. Or this could be a 3, and this could be a 2 or a 4. Or it could be also a 7, and then this could be an 8 and a 6. Same in reverse. And then the black dot indicates that one of the digits is twice as big as the other one, which that tells us kind of quickly that on some end of these spots there could be a 1 that could double to a 2, but then it would have to go to a 4 on the other side. So 1, 2, 4. It could be a 2, which would then double to a 4 to an 8. So then 2 and 8 could be here. It could be on one side a 3 that would double to a 6, but then that would double to a 9. So 3 is actually no good. You can't go any further in upwards directions with any of the other digits. 4 could be an 8, but then it would have to be 12, and that's too big of a number. 5 could be a 10, which is too big of a number. 6 would be 12, 7 would be 14, 8 would be 16, and 9 would be 18. And it's probably not really necessary to mark it, but we could certainly mark just what digits can't be in the center. 9 cannot go in both directions and would get a half number. It would be 4.5, and that is going to be true with 7, which would be 3.5, and true with 5, which would be 2.5, and true with 1, which would go in half, which would be a half. But 1 could be a number, except for the fact that if 1 was here, it would then be doubled to 2, and there can't be 2 2s in the same row. There can't be 2 2s in the same box. So that's not a possibility. So all the odd numbers plus 1 are out. If this was 2 in the middle, then both sides would have to be 4, so it can't be 2 in the middle. If this was 4 in the middle, then one side can be 2 and one side can be 8. So 4 is a possibility. If it was 6 in the middle, one side could be 3, but then the other side would be 12, so it can't be 6. And if it was 8 in the middle, one side could be 4, but then the other would have to be 16. So we have eliminated every single possibility, including 3 should be eliminated. 3 could go to 6, but then couldn't go down to 1.5. So that then eliminates every single possibility and just makes that a 4. Wow. Basically the first move I make and I'm wrong. What did I do wrong? How did the logic fall apart? Nine would be 4.5 here. 8 would be 4 here. And then 4 here. Maybe 1 was right. 1 and 2, but then no. That wouldn't work. 7 would be 3.5 on one side and 14 on the other side. 6 would be 3 and then 12 on the other side. 5 would be 10 and 2.5 on the other side. 3 would be 6 and 1.5. 2 would be 1 and 4. So 2 is a possibility too. Yeah. And so then we should mark 2 1 pairs here. as a possibility and leave it there, even though we, by putting in the wrong information, already knew. Let's try and solve this puzzle the right way. Yeah, 1 could double to 2, but actually 1 couldn't double. And yeah, 4 should be a 2-4 pair, not a 2-1 pair. If we're going to do this correctly. And then, yeah. Let's leave everything else alone for a moment and see if we can figure out anything else we can mark. From like these positions here, you are in a different situation because you just have one black dot. So almost everything is acceptable here. A 1 could be doubled to a 2, a 3 could be doubled to a 6. I guess you can't do 5. Man, it sounds like it's raining and pouring down. Yeah, I may have to. Sounds like it's pouring down terribly outside. Yeah, 5 would give you 2.5, which wouldn't work, and it would give you 10. So 6 would. So 5 might be out as a possibility. Let's mark it actually here instead of there. 6 could be 3. 7 would give you 3.5 or 14, so 7 is out. And then 8 could be 4. And then 9 would be 4.5 or 18, so 5, 7, 9 are at least eliminated from those possibilities. And then something like this here and this here have really no limitations per se. Because it could be just 1, 2, it could be 8, 9, could be anything. You could perhaps argue that, you know, 9 can't be here, therefore this can't be 8, but 7 might be here, and this could be a 1, 7, and then that would be 8. It does seem, though, like these 2 dots will tell us some bit of information. Like, a 1 couldn't be here because then 1 away from 1 would be 2 on both sides. A 9 couldn't be here because 9 here would be 8 on both sides. I don't think there's anything else though we can eliminate as a possibility. Like 2 would let you put a 1 here and a 3 here. 8 would let you put a 9 here and a 7 here. And 5, for instance, in the middle would be just 6 and 4. So, and there's just no secret math that I think can be applied yet, where we know that the secret, as they call it, means all of these cells have to add up to 45. So if we knew how much these cells added up to and how much these cells added up to, or just the combined of these 2 columns, then we would know what this had to add up to as a hidden killer box. Same would be the case here, and maybe that is where we have to go next, because this is the only place that really is even speculating on numbers. And yeah, you're just not going to do anything in this box or this box. And I don't think you're going to spiral completely around something like over here, back this way, back this way. It seems to me like what's going to happen is you're going to start in one of these 3 boxes, and then it will spiral one direction this way, and then spiral the other direction this way in a pinwheel kind of fashion. So if this is 4, let's ask this question. If this is 4, one of these must be 2, and one of these must be 8. If this is 2, one of these must be 4, and one of these must be 8. That tells me that 4 has to be in that section. What are the sums now if 4 is in a section? If this was 4, and then this was 2, and this was 1, that would sum to 7. If this was 4, and this was 8, and this was 2, that would sum to 14, which is double 7. So you have potentially a case of either 4 or 14 being the solution. If this was 4 and this was 2 and that was 1, you'd just be back to 7 in that case. 4 or 14. Let's see if we can even use the calculator. We don't even have a killer crack calculator popping up on here. It seems like they can toggle that on for us or not, and it seems like there's been a choice here not to toggle it in. Well, I couldn't possibly memorize those calculations and combinations. And there's no math I know of that would mean all of these have to add up to something, except for the fact that if there was one more square, we would know every single digit is in this, because the digits can't repeat. So we could say, at the very least, that none of these are 4. And if one of these is 4, then the 4's gotta either be here or here. Which means that either the 4 would be here or here. Am I correct about that? If a 4 has to be here, it can't be in the rest of this box. But it also can't be repeated in this part. So these can't be 4s. And it can't be here. Which would then mean that the places where a 4 could be would be here in this spot. Which I guess means a 4 could be over here, or it could be up here. And then it could fit in one of these spots. So let's just mark that these can't be 4s. And it doesn't quite get us close enough to progress, but it's a step in the right direction. If we have a decent amount of things eliminated on this double, that might be helpful. I mean, this could be 2 and this could be 4, this could be 1 and this could be 2. This could be 3 and this could be 6. Yeah, let's just fill in all the options. It can be 1, it could be 2, it could be 3, it can't be 4, and it can't be 5. Because that would be half. It could be 6, because then this could be 3. Can't be 7 because that would be half, or 14. Could be 8. Can't be 9. It probably doesn't help us much. This combination very likely is the linchpin to the whole setup, and it does just possibly turn into a situation where there is only one possibility. Let's ask some questions here. Can we potentially eliminate the number 1 from this spot? 1 plus this would be 2, plus this would be 2. So yeah, it can't be 1 in this spot. It has to be 1 away, which would make that and that 2. If this was 2, then this could be 1 or 3, and this could be 4, so 2 does seem like a possibility. If this was 3, then this could be 6, and then this could be 2, so that seems like a possibility. If this was 4, this could be 8, and that could be 3, so that's a possibility. If this is 5, then it would be 10 over here, which is too big, but could be 4, so it can't be 5. If this was 6, then this could be 3, and then this could be 5 or 7, so 6 is a possibility. If it was 7, then it would either be 14 or 3.5 on this side, which doesn't work. If it was 8, this could be 4, and then that could be 7 or 9, so that's a possibility. And then if this was 9, then that would be 18 or 4.5. So that's not a possibility. So we're locking a little bit in somewhat. From that derived solution, would there be any real change here? Or could this just be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9? It's every single digit can be in that spot, so we might as well just delete that. And on this side, this could be 1, could be 2, could be 4, could be 3, can't be 5, could be 6, and can't be 7, and could be 8. So almost everything, just eliminating the 9 and the 5. I'll leave that one filled in. All of these possibilities, though, probably don't eliminate any possibilities over here or otherwise affect things. Yeah. We could mark, just by basic Sudoku, things that can't be 7, which would include this. But nothing then stops this from being a 7. We could use this information possibly to a slight advantage, in that we know 7 wouldn't be a possibility here. So at that, it could be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, but not 7s, and then 8s, and then this one here could also be a 9. A 9 can't be here because nothing plus 1. 9 plus 1 would be 10, which is too big. You could pretty much fill in the same information on this spot and this spot, which probably highlights you shouldn't be filling in the information yet on these spots. We can, I guess, fill in everything here except for 7s. So if we could somehow guarantee no 7 was here, that wouldn't change much, would it? Because we already have a 7 in that box. And yeah, we're definitely just not going to be able to touch anything in that box or anything in this box. We can, I assume, just put in every number up to 8 in this spot, and then things will be slightly more limited. But you know, I could just put in every number up to 8 and then remove the 5, remove the 7, and remove the 9. But weirdly, I'm not seeing anything else. This still feels like this would be your starter point that would lead to something here. I guess if this was 4, then, I mean, this can't be 4, which just means 5 and 3 are not a possibility. Well, 3 here is a possibility though, because this could be 6, and then this could be 2. And I don't think there really is like a super secret where you could subtract like 3 cubes, like subtract these digits, these cells, away from 45 plus 45 plus 45 and actually figure something out. There's, I think, too much variety there. If you possibly had an entire box that was already filled, you might be able to do that, but then why would you need to do it that way? I feel like there's other strategies to solve Sudoku challenges at that point. I kind of wish there was some kind of secret where you could combine information. The digits that go in here, the number of cells is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. The number of cells here is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Correct? Yeah. There are 8 in both of these cells. There inherently has to be different numbers in these cells, which maybe means that whatever is in these cells here have to be the same numbers. Maybe not so much, because then that would assume that this has to be the same as this. I'm not sure that's really true. Or did these two have to sum up to each other? And even if that was true, and somehow it even expanded to this, so that this group of numbers are the same group of numbers there. If that was true, because these are different numbers and these are different numbers, then what does that say about these numbers? It says that this one number will be the central number for everything, or possibly this number will be the same number here and here. Wow. I don't know if I really believe what I'm saying here, but I think that might be the case, is that we may have a case where this number has to be the same as this, and this has to be the same as that, because these numbers that will be different, and then these numbers, and then these numbers. It's all just too complicated to wrap my brain around. That, like, these two digits here and here will not be included in this group. Like these three numbers So either I'm going to have to use a hint, which I probably should just do that in the interest of saving time, or I would have to make a fairly large assumption that these three are all the same number. Let's play with that idea and see if that's the case. That would mean this can't be a 2. Just by default, because 2 can't be here and can't be here. It would mean this can't be a 4, because, well, 4 can be here, a 4 cannot be here. It would mean maybe it's a 6, or maybe it's an 8. So at that point, if that was the case, whatever this number would be might affect here and here, and then there would be one side with the number here and one side with the number here. None of these can be 7s. So it's either a 7 here or a 7 here. Nothing really implies that. Smart hint cannot be generated, no surprise there. First hint. Let's see. I may have been completely off the rails, and so we need to really check that, just so I'm not wasting tons of that time being off the rails. So it says in box 4, row 5, column 6. Wait, no. In box 4, row 5, column 4. So it's telling you to consider box 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. But then it's also saying consider this spot, row 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, column 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Must be in also row 6, column 1. I don't follow this logic at all. My logic was implying that this number and this number and this number would be connected. This first sentence is saying that this number row 5, column 4 must also be the same as row 6, column 1. Okay. Let's, I guess, unmark things and mark that. And is there a way we can figure out how that's the case? Like, there's an odd number, an outie, in this. Otherwise, this is going to be the digits 1 through 8 or 9. It's going to be 1 through 9 missing one digit, which that one digit could be here in my mind, or could be here. I don't think anything really forces it in either position. So why is it the case that this digit has to be the same as this digit? This digit, let's think for a second. If this digit was 1, then it would be 2, then this could be 3. It would block 1s from being here, and then it would have no effect really if a 1 is here or as a 1 is here, but there's a decent chance that there's a 1 down here. If it was an 8 and this was a 4 and this was a 2, that would 8, 4, 2 would all be blocked here, which would make all of these 2, 4, 8s, which then would make all of these 2, 4, 8s. Yeah, the logic doesn't even make sense to me, like, in that scenario. 8 in half would be 4, then this would be 3, not 2. Yeah, I did that wrong. 8, 4, 3. Eliminate 8, 4, 3 here. Doesn't mean anything. So the very first sentence in the very first handwritten note is using some concept that is beyond me. Let's just go forward, and they're probably going to say the exact same thing for this spot for the exact same reasons without explaining the same reasons. In box 6, row 5, column 6. Okay, that would be this spot. Must be in row 4, column 9. Yes, I do have the capability of mirroring, so I did see that coming. Which, if we know these two things, maybe that means we can figure out what this is. Row 6, column 4 must be in row 5, column 1, 2, 3. That digit must be in that spot, which wouldn't that also mean it has to be in that spot? Like that? And in row 4, column 7 and 8. So I see it's going to be a slightly different situation than that. I do, now that I've marked it, kind of understand that whatever this digit is, then can't be likely here because it would be in the same box. Wait, no, that's not right either though. If this is a 7, then you'd have repeated 7s. So that's not correct either. Let's reread this. Row 6, column 4. It's just, it's not column 4. That is column 4. The digit in row 6, column 4. Are we in row 6, column 4? Yes. Must be in row 5, column 1, 2, and 3. Do I understand a logical reason why that is the case? If this was 7, it would block all those from being 7, and it would also block all of these from being 7 because they're in the same box. And this would also block that. So whatever digits here blocks all of that and blocks all of that and must be here. It also inherently blocks everything here and maybe means that the number has to be here. Well, it blocks everything here and here and here, which forces then these to pair up. These two working together then force those to be the options. Okay. So, from the same logic, is that true also over here? That whatever the digit is here eliminates everything from being over here, and thus it has to be here. No, that's not the same because of these spots. But is it true that, let's see, this digit here blocks, if this is 7, then these can't be 7s, and it blocks everything else from being a 7, so these would have to be 7s. Then those two would work together and force these two digits to be a 7. I'm not sure I fully follow. I'm not sure I'm fully following why this isn't a possibility. Where this was a 7 here, this was a 7 here, then this could be a 7 here. Let's just read on. So the pink one is what it's telling us to do. Forming a new pair with digit row 5, column 4. So there's some kind of pairing happening here with something, but I don't even understand what. says row 6, column 4 must be in this spot and in row 4, columns 7 and 8. But somehow not 9. Which I don't see a real reason why that has to be the case. That forms a new pair with the digit from this spot. Row 4, column 6. Now, there's some kind of pair here, but I don't know if it's a pair between these and these, or a pair between all of the pinks and this. The next part of the hint, number 1, I think is the exact same thing. It says row 4, column 6 must be in row 5, 7, column 7, 8, and 9, and forms a pair with the digit in row 5, column 6. But in this case, that isn't part of the orange. And I definitely don't see the difference here. That forms a pair in row 6 to column 2 and 3. What? With the digit from row 5, column 6. So that is orange. So I almost have followed all these instructions on this first hint. It's taken me like 20 minutes to figure out what it's saying. Just poorly formatted, poorly written. Maybe I'm bad at following instructions. I'll throw that out as a very valid possibility. Let's see, row 4, column 7 and 8 are forming a pair with row 5, column 4. And see, that just doesn't even make sense that would be true. It must be a pair, and I have no idea how I would recognize that this is a pair, though. So the natural experience, even following this instruction, is to not try and mark this, but they are implying that whatever these numbers are, let's just go with 1 and 2, that would eliminate a 1 and a 2 in this row, eliminating 1 and 2 here, and eliminate 1 or 2 here, which really wouldn't change much, and I just don't see any other connection there. Not any connection at all. And yeah. So from that, we really haven't narrowed down anything. We're just talking positioning. So we should just move to the next hint. Because I didn't understand the first hint completely, which I needed to. It's only going to get worse, I imagine, as we go further. Row 5, column 5, which happens to be in the middle, must be in row 6, column 7, 8, 9. I would like an explanation as to how we're certain about that. Before we go any further. Is there a way this could have been like 6, and then that could have been 5, and that could have been 3? 6 would eliminate the possibility of 6s here and here, which then would leave the possibility of 6 here or here. So how do you get to the jump that this digit has to be here? Yes, I could see in some of the other combinations that if this is a 2, well, or you have a decent chance of there being a 2 here. If this is a 4, we're certain that there's a 4 here. But yeah, 6 having a 3 here, and then like a 5 here, doesn't mean to me that 6 would have to be here, and the 6 can't even be there. I just don't get it. I just don't get this concept. How are they eliminating the possibility of this digit being up here? What's the difference between this spot and this spot? Or how were they reducing the digit that is here down to being just 2, 4, and 8, which then would overlap? How did they get rid of the 3s and the 6s as a possibility? Which, if I would tend to assume one of these is going to be 3 and one of these is going to be 6 at this rate. It's got to be something about the pairing thought, that this digit somehow pairs with these digits and these digits and these digits. But even that still doesn't make any sense. So row 5 here must be in row 6, 7, 8, 9. And so it is from the 2, 4, 8 possibility. One cannot appear between 2 dots. And okay. Since this can't be 1, and that can't be 1, we'll take that off. And then it goes and is in row 4, column 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3. So we have a connection here again. Why? Just explain the why. Why could this pinwheel motion, why does this pinwheel motion force you downward in this orientation instead of possibly going this way, or some things going counterclockwise and some going clockwise? Why is it that this digit cannot be here? Well, because it's in the same box. Why is it that this digit can't be here, here, or here, and then the same digit would be here, here, and here? I have no idea. And I'm not going to figure it out, so just sitting here in silence trying to figure it out, it's not going to help. I need to just continue momentum, I guess. Row 5, column 4 here must be from 1, 2, 4, 8. So it's just telling me, and I'm just going to type it in. 1, 2, 4, 8, getting rid of the 3 and 6 as possibilities, which I could have leaned towards that. And the digits 1, 2, 4, 8, and this has totally got to be wrong, written wrong. Row 5, column 4 must be from 1, I guess column 1, 2, 4, and 8. How could that even be true? This has got to be a typo. That almost certainly it's supposed to be either this digit comes from well, it says row 5, column 4, this digit here must be from, maybe not, row 1, yeah, this is not written right. It can't be. I can't be misreading this badly. It says from 1, 2, 3, 4, 8, and then it says the digits 1, 2, 3, 4, and 8. If they were referring to a column, there should be a C in front of it. If they were referring to a row, there should be a row before it. And if they were referring to a box, which 1, 2, 4, and 8, that wouldn't make any sense. And the digits 1, 2, 4, and 8, and must be, maybe there's an extra and here, must be 1 and 8 in the right hand cage as row 6, column 7, 8, and 9 form a black dot sequence. Before I go to hint 3, let's just click smart hint, see if we can go any further. Yeah, I'm off the rails. I mean, you're off the rails if you don't understand one handwritten hint. Usually you're getting 7 to 8 handwritten hints per puzzle. So if you're missing one, you're nearly you're over 10% misunderstanding the solution. Row 5, column 4 cannot be 1, as it would also be in row 6, column 1, as it is in row 6, column 1, 2, which still doesn't make any sense, other than maybe you can't have a 1 here. So if you put a 1 here, the only place you could put a 1 would be here, And it has to also be here. Given where row 4, column 4, is in row 5, and thus row 6 is from 1, 2, and row 4, column 5 must be 1, 2 also. Now row 1, 2 and row 1 and 2 of column 5 must be 3, 6. So it's saying these are 1, 2 pairs. I have no idea how we would have gotten to that though. We figured out that apparently this couldn't be a 1 because then this would be a 1. 1 here would eliminate that, would force a 1 to be up here, which would eliminate that, and then it would force one of these to be a 1, which seems like that's very doable. Right. That then makes these somehow this forms a 1, 2. And then row 4, row 1 and row 2, column 5, somehow have to be 3, 6s. How? How did we even begin to get to that spot? I can't do anything here at all. I can't make any progress at all. I mean, I might as well just give up at this point. I'm not going to. I'm going to at least brute force my way through the rest of this puzzle. But there is no logical progression I can make. And maybe it's because I'm a little tired now. This is my 3rd super long episode of the day. But because I don't understand any of this coloring at all and how we got into any of this, and my thought pattern would have been this number would have matched this, and that was wrong. But because I don't understand any of this, I have no idea how I got a 1, 2 out of thin air in these spots. Or a 3, 6 out of thin air in these spots. And there's no smart hint that's going to help me. All I can try and do is try and gain some perspective here. If we look at 1s, we know nothing about 1s. If we look at 2s, we know nothing about 2s. If we look at 3s, we know nothing about 3s. If we look at 6s, you know nothing about 6s. I can select these numbers, and if this is correct, remove the 3, 6, and I might as well just flippantly change the numbers here. It's so off the rails. I am just gonna have to guess, and the first thing to guess would be just to see if this information is correct. But yeah, looking at 1s, if we had come down, if I understood this concept, that this brings this down to a 2, 4, 8, because this has to also be either 2, 4, or 8. Because if this was a 2, this would eliminate this from being a 2, and this from being a 2, and eliminate this from being a 2. Then it would also eliminate everything over here from being a 2, and then eliminate these from being 2s. So then the 2 could only be here or here. And so if this was a 2, and this was a 2, then the 2 would have to be up here. But the connection still means nothing to me. Nothing says this has to be a 2 or a 4 or an 8. Why couldn't it just be as easily connected to this? Is there something special about the fact that there are 3 options here? And noticeably, we're doing nothing with the 4 at all so far. Use this 1, yes. So, a random guess there does tell me that we're on the right path. Now we get rid of the 3, 6 and the 3, 6. And it's not a situation that this can be 2, 4, and 8. It has to be just one of them. We know one of them is 4. 4 and 2. 4 would let you go to 8 this direction, and then 3 or 5 this direction. 2 would let you go to 4 this direction, and 1 and 3 this direction. 8 would let you go to 4 this direction, and then 7 or 9 that direction. So it doesn't seem like anything stops that number from being 2, 4, 8. Whatever this is, this won't be. Let's go with the next hint. We're gonna have to. Like, it's either next hint or straight up just start putting in numbers everywhere. Which, I guess this would be an interesting spot to just straight up see if you can cheat. Go into number mode, mark all of those as 1. You then immediately can see the right number. In fact, I could cheat at a Sudoku puzzle incredibly fast with this, couldn't I? Because then I could also put in like the 2s and then the 3s. And you might even be able to change the settings so once a number is locked in, it's just locked in. Then you could select all of the 81 cells and potentially just go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 and solve the entire puzzle that way. If that's not the case, it's still not a real problem because you can just be in multi-select mode, and then you could deselect, and then you could click the 1s, and then you could be in multi-select mode, and you could deselect things, and you could just keep going down that route. If you did want to cheat at this. Well, unfortunately, Cracking the Cryptic doesn't have any achievements as the free to start version, so unlike Sudoku Universe, which gives you achievements for every puzzle you solve, cheating in that way doesn't benefit you any. It just admits defeat and finishes the puzzle. I guess you could get really fast times. I can make myself look a lot smarter than I did, but I mean, it's all just a lie at that point. It's living a lie. So I'm pretty sure, did hint 3. Let's go hint 4. And after taking a little bit of a break there. Row 8, now we're looking in completely different places. In 9 of column 5, these two must be 8, 9. What happened? How much was I supposed to have solved already to get to this point that it would have possibly been down to just an 8, 9 after removing a 3, 6? The implication here should be that this should have been 3, 6, 8, 9 somehow. Row 5, column 6, here, and thus row 4, column 9 must then be 3, 5. This is ridiculous. This is so freaking ridiculous. We're following steps and hints that seemingly have skipped hundreds of moves. That there should be way more digits in there. And this is a great example of what I suggested here, where when you click next, it should test the state of the puzzle in some way, test to see what numbers are locked, test to see what places are pencil marked, and if you're just not at that point, it should pop up a warning that says for the next hint to make any sense at all, you need to be in a different state. And then it should be try harder, or cancel, whatever, or continue and add the pencil marks needed, add the markings needed. Yeah. And then if you hit continue, it would just change the state of the board, adding what is missing. There should be specific checkpoints for puzzles this complicated, that the hints, handwritten hints, are set to. Then you won't have the situation where I'm in, where I'm going to go potentially all the way to the end, and it's just going to say the puzzle can now be solved, and there will just be entire blank spots. So yeah, somehow we said this is 8, 9, and then that somehow is connected to this being 3, 5, which that only makes sense if all of these cubes here have something in them. And if I was to retroactively try and fill in every single possibility of a digit in every single blank spot here, that still wouldn't make any progress, because all we know so far is that this is 7, and we don't even have a lot of pairs that would eliminate other possibilities. Like if this is a 1, 2, then we would need to, this would be a 4 that went to 5 and 3, or this would be 5 that went to 6 or 4, or it could be an 8 that goes to 9 or 7. Which we can mark that, I guess. The truth of that, though, is it's just going to be 2, 4, 8 as possibilities. And then we'll take off the 2s as possibilities because we have a 1-2 pair here. So then here still feels like 3 could be here, still feels like 5 could be here, and then 7, and you just couldn't have a 9 here. So if it was a case that 2, 4, and 8 can't be here, then this would be a 3, 5, 7 combo. So if the first hint was trying to say that these are the tens complements of whatever digits are here, that would make sense. That because there's a 2 here, there should be, or I guess they're not 10's complements, they'd be 9's complements. If there's a 2 here, there should be a 7 here. If there's a 4 here, there should be a 5 here. And if there's a 8 here, there should be a 1 here. And then that would get everything except for 3, which would say there should be a 6 here. And to complement that, which that doesn't make sense, why there isn't a possibility of a 6 here. Yeah, what stops this from being a 6? Also, if we just ignore all the coloring, or on that part, what stops this from being a 7? What stops it from really being much of anything? Maybe it would have been logical to fill in all the possibilities in all these spots. Maybe that would have helped me more. At least that would have kind of made some sense to fill in the box. We haven't even gotten to the killer Sudoku part of this, and we really haven't even done the crop keys part of this. All of this information is really just leading towards coloring, it seems. The hint continues, thus row 4, column 9 must be 3, 5, but 4 appears in row 4, 1, 2, and 3. They've determined that 4 has to appear here because it has to appear here. And even if I understood why that was, 4 would be about the only case where that does make sense, because that's the only case I know for a fact one of these has to be a 4. Which must now be 4, 5, 6. So this is splitting from this, but then that may very well just all overlap in some way. I almost wonder if there's some kind of trick here where this center digit, because of these killer boxes, extends things out in a way that these 3 boxes are effectively the same as this box, and these 3 boxes are effectively the same as this box, And so maybe that means something. It doesn't mean anything though. In fact, I think that makes that way worse of a thought. And just straight up stupid thought. I should be careful not to self-deprecate myself too much. I'll send myself into a deep depression playing a dumb Sudoku game. So that must be 4, 5, 6. According to hint, we just gotta go forward. Last hint of the entire puzzle. Markings in box 3 are helpful in progressing the solve, but in box 7 it becomes impossible for row 9, column 1 to be anything but 9. So shall we just mark that? Which creates a 2, 4 pair and a 5, 7 pair in the box. No smart hints can be generated at this time. Yeah, we've gone all the way to the end of this puzzle and not solved any of it at all. We did it in remarkable time, but there's almost nothing I can do here. Like, there really isn't anything I can do here. I can highlight all of these numbers here. I can then put in every single digit. And then that would let me then just fill in some more boxes that have every digit except for 4. And then we have at least the pencil markings here. And then this would be every single digit except for 9. Almost done. One more box here and one more box here, which we can do at the same time. It should just be, if I'm correct, even in my negative markings, 1, 2, 3, 4, but not 5, 6, but not 7, and then 8, but not 9. So then that can get me to like basic Sudoku, where we could look and see if there's anything that stands out. We can remove 1 and 2 from that spot. Yeah. We could remove 3 and 6 from that spot. But even that is frankly hints from earlier, from later. So had I just put in all the possible digits in every single spot, I shouldn't even be to this level. And the coloring here absolutely did not help me because I didn't understand it, but also I don't think deserves a lot of blame to hurt me. I don't think I'm visually overlooking something just because of these markings. A 4 here would have eliminated all of these as being a possibility. There's another box that I guess could be everything except for 4. And the doubling hop key blocks have played no role in any of this. As far as the hints are concerned, they totally ignore them. So, I don't know what the trick is there. Eight, 9. Would eliminate those. Eight, 9. Being eliminated there. Even if I do make some progress here, this is almost certainly going to just be progress around doing basic Sudoku. Let's go around. Go around once more. And see, this is definitely a situation that if I was to come back 6 months from now and try and do this puzzle again, I would probably benefit from having just forgotten it and starting over from scratch. Like, you really can't do it with many of the other puzzles, like where you could just erase the puzzle and start over immediately. If you got really off the rails and recognize you were really off the rails and you just have the wrong information within the first 20 to 40 minutes, starting over makes sense. But that's at my time speed too, where you would even spend 40 minutes on a puzzle. Still no smart hints. So let's look at the first hint again. In box 4. Row 5, column 4, which, I mean, it literally is the fourth statement. Ward, technically. Not ward, but ward. We'll call it a ward that loses me. And maybe there is just a straight up typo here. In box 4, which box 4 is 1, 2, 3, 4. Row 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Column 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Must be also in row 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Column 9. These two must be paired. No, I'm not even reading the right thing. The sentences desperately need double line spacing, or at least you need a new line so that you can see it's saying almost the exact same thing, but for two different positions. This one is supposed to be with row 6, which is here, column 1 here. So this one is supposed to pair to this one's supposed to pair to this one. These pairs here probably shouldn't be the same color. Okay, so these two are supposed to be paired. How do we get to that logical step? Now, let's say this was number 1. Then we know a number 1 can't be here. And we know a number 1 can't be here, and a number 1 can't be here. Ah, that's it. So then this does have to be the same as that. And getting over that stepping stone, then this one, in the same way, because it's in the same box, can't be in any of these spots, and can't be here in the same row, so it has to be paired with that. Okay. Let's see. So I've gotten literally to the second sentence in nearly 90 minutes of the hint, as far as my understanding, but at least I'm learning something, whereas there was a very high chance I was just about to brute force this whole game and just give up and just say mark 90 minutes is when I give up and have just failed. I really have failed, but let's see if we can figure it out. This is probably a great example of people overestimating themselves too. When I started this series, yeah, don't ever ask me to dismantle a bomb or something. I won't get it right on the first try. Anyways, it says row 6, column 4. This spot must be in row 5, column 1, 2, and 3. Now that I understand those first two sentences, this does make sense. Because this part eliminates the possibility of this being it, although that doesn't actually matter, does it? If this was 1, then nothing in the box could also be 1, and you need a 1 in this box, and it would block this. So that has to be that. Which, if this is 1, then 1 has to be in one of these, and because there's a 1 here, and a 1 in this row, and a 1 in this row, the 1 has to be here, but it can't be here, because then this would have to be the same as this, which would make that a 1. And you can have a 1 here and a 1 here in the same box. Okay. So then the next bit of logic should be the same here. If this was a 3, it would block all the 3s here, and being in the box, it would stop 3s here, so a 3 would have to be here, which would then eliminate the possibility of 3s being here or here, and mean that the 3 has to be here, but it can't be here, because if this was a 3, then that would be a 3, and they would be in the same box. Okay. The way this is just written, instead of being shown visually, is impossibly bad. It really is. Yeah. There is definitely some thoughts, if you were going to make such a difficult puzzle game, to really also investigate in different ways different people learn. Some people learn tactically, visually. Some people might even learn more by orally, just being told and spoken to, or by actually tasting food or things like that. But yeah, you can't really teach the vast majority of human knowledge with taste. That would be a very different kind of language. But yeah, some people thrive in repetition. Some people thrive in just reading and regurgitation, memorization. And for every person that thrives in one way, there's going to be a lot of people that don't thrive in that way. Now that I understand these things, though, I'm still fairly confused. I know that these 4 digits have to be different, which is still true with all 9 digits in this box. So it continues, row 4, column 6 must be in row 5, column 7 and 8, 9, and forming a pair with row 6, column 2, 3. I did mark things correctly, and that forms a pair with the digit from row 5, column 6. What is that saying? That forms a pair in row 6, column 2 and 3. These two. with the digit in row 5, column 6. I don't follow. How can these be 3, 5 also and match this? If this was 3, 5 and this was 3, 5, one of these has to be 3 or 5. Okay. And then there would be some overlap where this digit can't be this digit or this digit, so whatever. So there is this also secondary pair like that. Where one of these digits, one of the digits here is going to be this numbers, the oranges, and one of these digits, the other digit, is going to be the green numbers. Is that the same case in this scenario? Is one of these digits going to be this number with the other digit being this number? Yeah, the yellow forces this and this yellow to be here, which one of those have to be a yellow, and then the pink forces one of those digits to be pink. I'm not able to wrap my brain around it. I'm fairly certain it's true that this is where the marking really should have been. But, yeah. Let's try the digit number 8 here and run that scenario. 8 makes this 8, eliminates everything here, and makes one of these two be 8. If one of these two are 8, then these can't be 8, the pink can't be 8. Okay. And if the pink can't be 8, then one of these has to be an 8. Yeah, I just confirmed the same thing twice in a row. The other thing though is, does this force you into a situation where if all the yellows are the same, does that force the pinks to be the same? It kind of just doesn't matter, does it? Like, the two rules I think are separated, that both things are true, but both things are not true because the other thing is true. And it's just a happy coincidence of the puzzle maker that that's the case. There's still, at this point, at the end of hint 1, if I've managed to wrap my brain around that, it does not get you anywhere closer to having a number. Like, all these colorings, with the exception of like right here, should be blank at this point. Then it says row 5, column 5 must be in row 6, 7, and 8. I mean, row 6, column 7, 8, 9. And so is from 2, 4, and 8. Now that we have the coloring in, does the coloring affect why this must be here? This digit is not in this box and wouldn't work if it was in this box. So this digit cannot be here and cannot be here. It also eliminates the possibility of the digit being here or here just by basic Sudoku, since there can only be one digit in that row. So if this is 2, then 2 can't be here, which means 2 cannot be here. And if 2 cannot be here, and it cannot be here, and it has to be here, but why does it have to be here? That's what we're trying to ascertain. If this was 2, then this could be 1 or 3. This could be 2, 3. That doesn't seem to change anything. And then it still seems like this digit could be here. This digit and this digit. But it can't, can it? Because then this digit and this digit would be the same. So since these two are the same, then it seems like this digit could be here or here. But then this digit can't be here or here if these two digits combined are in the same box, and the digit can't be in the same box. I don't know if I'd ever would have thought of this or looked at that. Yeah. And so in the same logic, and I'm going to prove how little I'm learning here pretty quickly. The same logic says that this digit can't be here. Well, can't be here. This digit can't be the same as this digit, so it can't be here because of these two. That eliminates that, which then means these have to be that digit. So finally, I think I've gotten to the point where all the coloring makes sense. Where do you put in a number, though? Like, that would bring this to a 248 as a possibility. Because 1 in particular can't be in between 2 dots. And also it's up here. Row 5, column 4 must be from, because of that, because of 248. They're saying this must be 1248. Because this has to be 2, 4, and 8. Okay. So that's, I guess, where you get a digit. Would have been, if this has to be 2, 4, 8, you can divide 8 to 4. You could take a 4 and double it to 8. You can divide 2 to 1. That's where you get the 1. And then 4 and half is 2. So then that locks in that. And it must be, and here's where the sentence is just totally terribly written. Looking at this, and must be 1248, and the digits 1248, and yeah, somebody just typed this in very quickly and didn't even proofread it. Must be 1 and 8 in the right hand cage as row 6, 7, 8, 9 form a black dot sequence. They're saying that the possibility here is that this should be 1 and 8. I don't see how that works. Like, of the possibilities, the 248 here, like this is supposed to be 248. At some point I eliminated 8, maybe incorrectly. Then this is supposed to be 248. That gives you 1 248. And then they're telling me to take that information and put in a 1 8 in this cage. So 8 could really only be in one place, which is here or 2 places. And 1 can't be in any of those places. So we just have this number 1 as an odd digit out. I think maybe what it's supposed to say is that these digits must be 1 and 8 because the 248 cage here somehow eliminates that from being 2 and 8. And yeah, I don't know if I'm really, I don't think that's being explained well at all. So the problem here is now we've gotten this far and I can't waste another 20 minutes trying this. So let's just see if this is an 8 or a 1. It's an 8. Okay. If an 8 is here, which it is, and then a 248 is here, then we know that there isn't an 8 up here, which we'd already gotten to that point. Which then means there has to be an 8 here. So my thought process is that this is supposed to be 2 and 8. I mean 1 and 8. But that's supposed to be 1 and 8 somehow. And that thus that is supposed to be 1. Well, and that should have already been 1 and 8. Which, whatever this is, this would also be. So if we follow that logic through, and say that those have to be 1 and 8s, then you'd have like a 1-8 pair here, which then would line up to that pair here, and that just can't work, can it? This can't be 1 and then eliminate all the 1s and make this 8. Or can it? No, I think it can. And this can be 8. Yeah, it's just a counter pairing to all that. Does that make sense though? I don't know if it really made sense to get to this point. If that's the case, then logic would say that that's an 8, which would also say that's an 8 by actual logic. Now, which then says that's a 1, which is wrong. Okay. Which also highlights that there's a problem here. And so I'd have to assume there's supposed to be a 6 in this, and this is supposed to be 2, 4, 6. Okay. So one of these is 1, one of these is 8. You shouldn't have gotten to the point where this would have been a 1, 2. However. But I also just wouldn't be at a point now where I could put in other digits. I have to reconsider every single digit. You kind of know it's not 1, but we'll mark it anyways. Let's see, 1s, 2s, 3s, 4s, 5s, 6s, 7s, and 9s. And then if this is actually 2, 4, 6, eliminating that as a possibility, that can get us to that spot. And if this is accurate that this is 4, 5, 6, which I don't think this is accurate, that still wouldn't change much over here. Is there any smart hints? Guess there is. Let's see how far the smart hints take us. I don't want to try and solve the entire puzzle, since I've already failed, but row 5, column 5 can only be 4. We eliminated, I guess, 2 as a possibility somehow. Crop key double black connection, row 6, column 8 has a black connection with column 9 and crop and 7. Therefore, row 6, column 8 can only be 2, 4, and row 6, column 9 and 6, 7, column 7 cannot be 3, 6. Moving forward, a 1, 2, 4 triple is at row 6, column 7. Really? And 8. And yeah. Where? Row 6, column 7, 8, 9 is a triple of 1, 2, 4. So there's supposed to be a 1 here somehow, even though the previous smart hint should have had more numbers. So just being wrong again is highlighting it. Something. So yeah, that's supposed to be 1, 2, 4, which changes everything. Removes all the 1, 2, 4s from these boxes. Which would just be that, I guess, and that. So then the other option should be 5, 7, 9 in this spot. Just completely different numbers in a lot of spots here. Well, in fairness, I didn't even get to the point where I was putting in numbers correctly, or even making any progress there. Domino black dot matching restrictions. Box 1 is restricted to row 6, column 7. What are we talking about box 1 for? This box, no, maybe it means domino black dot with matching restriction box, and then the colon should be after that, and then it's just saying 1 is restricted here to row 7 and 1, 9 because a 1 here cannot be here, which we've heard that before, meaning 2 has to be in row 8, row 6, column 8, and then we're just packed it could not generate smart answer. Okay. Yeah. I see a 2, a 1, and a 4 here. I can see we can get rid of 1s from that. I see that it probably is not a case that these numbers have to be the same. If there's a 1 here, then there's probably a 1 here, and I think that eventually gets us to this 1, 2 pair, and potentially this gets to a 6, 7 pair. Let's just speculate wildly on that part and assume that this is 6, 7. I'm not sure if that's actually the case. At a certain point I feel like maybe you've got to get this down to a 3, 5 pair, or this down to a 3, 5 pair. But yeah, 1s can only be here. 2s, if they're here, can't be out here. So no 2s there, so 2 could only be here. Then that implies to me this should have a 2 here, but it can't have a 2 here because of that. Alright. Which means also these can't have a 1. This could be 3 or 5, which gets us to that spot. If this is not 3, then this could only be 6. If this is 6, then this would be 3. Which wouldn't be a problem. 6 here, 3 here, 3 here would be fine. If this was a 3, then this would be 6. Then any number there would be fine. Have I logically filled in this being an 8? I guess I have, so we could demark that from being 9. It's still not going to be anywhere close to doing like a full Sudoku, just basic puzzle solving. Right, so then that would have taken us, I guess, back through, I think we've reached this point where this should have been 1, 2, 4, 8, and then that should have led us to that spot. Then hint number 3, row 5, column 4 cannot be 1, which, yeah, would lead us. Yeah, this cannot be 1, therefore it's an 8. Then given where the 4s are, where row 4, column 4 is in row 5, and thus row 6, what does that even mean? Given that this is connected in a row, I guess is what they're trying to say, it is from 1, 2. So at some point we should have a general idea of what numbers should be here. And I could probably type that in. And that there would have to be a 1 here, which there can't be a 1, or the 1 would have to be here because we're fairly certain this is 4, 5, 6. Did we actually get any confirmation of that? No. But yeah, 1 can't be here, 2 can't be here, and for some reason we should have known that 1 and 2 couldn't be here, which makes that a 1, 2, or that a 1, 2. A 1 and a 2 cannot be here because they would be in that box. Okay. Let's just properly mark that. Might as well just do some more coloring. Now row 1 and 2 of column 5 must be 3, 6, which then the next hint just continues that, and it's weird that they even split that up. They say row 8 and row 9 must be 8, 9, because that's pretty much the direct next step. I could remove a 3, 6 here as a possibility, knowing that, and just know that that's a 5, 7 now potentially. Which actually doesn't help any. Yeah, this is an 8, 9. Then row 5, column 6 here must be a 3, 5, because I guess we're supposed to know that somehow a 3 and a 5 can't be here. Shouldn't we know by this point, just because this is a 4, that this must be a 3-5. Maybe we were supposed to know at this point. But then the 4 appears in row 4, column 1, 2, and 3, which now must be 4, 5, 6. So it previously wouldn't have been 4, 5, and 6. And then our last part here, second time around now, understanding the instructions a lot better, and it's still awful. Just absolute awfulness. Markings in box 3 are helpful in progressing the solve, and then box markings here are helpful in progressing the solve, and then box 7, which would be this box, it becomes impossible eventually for anything but 9 to be in this spot, which then creates a 2-4 pair, a 5-7 in that box. I mean, that's basically 3 hints all squished together, and the first hint being incredibly cryptic. Markings in box 3 are helpful for the progression. Let's play along with this. These two numbers have to add up, so this could either be 2, 3 or 1, 2. 1, 2 gets you to 3. 2, 3 gets you to get you to 5. 1, 4 gets you to 5 also. So noticeably though, 6 and 8 are not possibilities, nor is 5. So that gives you 1, 2, 3, 4, which I think could probably guarantee that this is not 6. It could be 2, but 2 is blocked. Can't be 3. 4 to 2, 8 to 4, 1 to 2, 1 to 2, eliminate that possibility, 2 to 4, 3 to 6. Why did we determine this couldn't be 6? That may still be a possibility. And then 4 to 8. Okay. Then what? Then what at all? Let's just assume the numbers are right and that potentially all these boxes here would have just been empty. Are you supposed to then run every possible scenario? Like 1 plus 2 plus 1 wouldn't work, so it would be 1, 2, 3, 5, and then that eliminates the 5, and if these numbers are correct, then you could be 7, 8, or 9 still. Weirdly, we seem to not do anything with these numbers. I don't even know what would be very helpful here. And in the interest of saving time, let's just see. If that was 2, okay, then that gets us down to just be 1 and 4. And then what do you take from that? 2 has to be here. Good for it. Go ahead and mark that. And this will probably be a good example of just how guessing won't get you back on track. So we know that's a 2. So then let's guess and see if that's a 1. No. So then let's put a 4 there. 4. Okay. So maybe you had to consider all the scenarios in that case. And so now we know it's a 4 and a 2. And then you still could be a 1 or 3 here to get to a 5. We could argue that there are some numbers in this spot that can't be reached, such as 1 and 3 or 5. So that lowers that possibility a little bit. How many different ways can you make a combination to get to 5? I mean, you could only make 2. So if this happened to be 5, which it can't be, then that would have given me something. But that's not the case. So just continue guessing. Let's say we think this is 1. Okay. That 1 then eliminates this from being 4, which then makes this be 1. It also makes this be 3, which makes this be 3. Okay. Don't think that then fixes anything else. And this is potentially just because I screwed up earlier and there's just bad information everywhere. It seems very obvious the game just wants you to solve this puzzle in a very specific way using the variant rules, and those are just not there. I haven't figured them out yet. It feels like if I could guess the 9 here, which might be my next step, is to just guess where the 9 is here, with no logic following that. The 9 can either be here or here or here in this box, if that was supposed to give me some hints, but the 9 could also be here. And 9s can be anywhere in this box, and that's no surprise. We know one of these is 8. So it would be a 50-50 shot on the other one being 9. We know if we have an 8 here, we'll get this one down to being either 6 or 3. Okay. So it gives us a 3-6 pair. Eliminates some possibilities, but not enough. I'm gonna straight out have to just guess. Is this 9? No. Is this 9? Am I hitting the right button? No, because I'm in multi-mode. Is that 9? No. Is that 9? No. clicking backwards and forwards way too much. My brain has turned to mush. So we know none of these are 9. Was there a reason why we should have already known none of these were 9? It does seem weird. How can you have a 5, 7, 9 here and have no 1 or 2? 5, 6, 7, 9. Where's 1 and 2 supposed to be? I mean, we know this can't be 1 and 2. And so if the logic followed that this couldn't be 1 and 2, then 1 and 2 have to be up here. And then 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 5, 6, 7, 9 is here, which is this. So it's kind of like a overlapping triples. But then you're going to tell me through cheating that this is 9. Okay. We now know that's 9. And that helps me none. But I guess that means this is 9, and then one of these has to be 9. Yeah, these aren't triples. The labeling system's problematic, to say the least. These aren't triples. They're just saying that the number 9 will be one of these, but there's a possibility that there's some other things here. Which maybe they are triples, I don't know. Alright, we know this is 8 then. By the weirdness of all of that. And then 8 can only be gets rid of the 6, making that a 7, 9. Still can't smart hint anything. So finding out this information didn't really help me any. If this is correct that this is 4, 5, 6, this should be 7. Okay. Then that should tell me that either 5 or 6 is here. Which I guess that means this is 5, which means that is 6. Okay. Are we somehow now finally on a path to a real solution? One of these has to be 7, the other two have to be 5, 6. We know that. And then one of these has to be 9, and then there just needs to be a 2 here instead of a 5. This should have been 2, 7, 9. Nah, that's not even right. One of these has to be 7. We have no idea. None of the numbers here are right on either side. Some of the numbers are right. The possibilities should be, there should be a 1 over here. And then there can't be a 2 over here. There can't be a 4, and there can't be an 8 or 9 or 3. So 3 might also be a possibility. No, not 3. Yeah, the remaining digits here should be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 8, 9. These should be perfect. The remaining digits over here then should add up to that, so it should be 1, 2, then 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So it shouldn't have a 7 in the mix. So it should have been 1, 2, 9. Apparently at some point this got locked down to being a 3, which can lock that down to being a 6, and lock that down to being a 7. Don't know if this helps me any. Definitely doesn't feel like it would. Let's just look at... Let's not even look at that. Let's just click Smart Hint. So, Smart Hint says that there is a hidden single in box 7, which would be here. It says 7 can only go in row 3, column 5 in box 2. Single hidden box colon 7 can only go in row 3 in box 2. 7 should have eliminated all these possibilities. So then that should be a 7. Okay. That makes that a 1-2 pair, and that makes it an 8-9. I don't think anything more here. Row 3, column 7 is now a 9. Should have seen that myself. I should probably just ask some basic questions as far as what these other numbers are. 8 plus 3 is not viable. 7 plus 3 is not viable. And 6 plus 3 is not viable, which brings that down to a 3, 5. Then 7 plus 3 here is not viable, and 6 plus 3 is not viable, which brings that down to a 3, 5. Which then makes this a 6, 7, and this a 6, 8. 3, 5, 3, 5 makes this have to be an 8, I suppose. Which then makes that a 6. Which makes that a 7. How did I highlight two things? How did I drag diagonally and actually highlight two things? Yeah, I feel like dragging should not be allowed in the diagonal, particularly considering how often, if I was to try to drag in the diagonal, it wouldn't work. So I definitely like to toggle that off. But the only reason it worked that time is because these two had already been set as numbers. I guess 3, 5 means this is 6. It means that's 3. And we may finally actually be at a point where the basic Sudoku rules will apply. But not for everything. Not yet. Could eliminate 5s as a possibility from there. 2. These have to be 4. So if I can just find one more digit, it has to be, I would have a triple, a hidden triple there. I guess the only option for a 6 is in that spot. which means either this or this is 6. These two are 7. This one is not 7. 8's still. I guess we have to have an 8 here, so we can mark that. And then can we pull off any kind of miracles with a 9? No. And I don't think it's worth going around again. Let's see what the smart hint says. 3 can only go in row 7 in box 8. Let's check that. Why is that the case? They're saying that, oh, I see. This is the only place a 3 can be. Alright. Which makes that change. But probably doesn't connect to anything else. White crop key connection says 6 is restricted to row 4, column 1. Huh? Okay. It says 6 is restricted to this box. Why? And row 4, column 2. Okay, I see that. We figured that out. Because the 6 couldn't be here in row 4, which means those cells can only be 5, can only contain 5, 7, and 6, which we know it's not 7. But can't contain 4 because 6 here would be 5, 6 here would be 5, but 5 here neither way could be 4, which means that's got to be 4. Then you've got a 5-6 pair. Okay. 146 minutes into this puzzle though, and having to fail miserably the first time and reread the instructions 3 or 4 times and still struggle. Having to finally maybe learn a foundational part of the strategy, or a foundational way to at least absorb some of these strategies. My only hope though is in the small handful of puzzles that are left, I can actually use that skill and I can actually prove I did retain the strategy, or otherwise I'm just gonna have wasted my time, which is probably the case. 6 can only go in row 4, column 1 in row 4. True. Six can only go here because then this has to be 5. Yeah, I just didn't follow the white dot logic there. And then that means that's 6, and we may be close to being done with 6s, not quite. Let's look at 5s and see if we did anything with 5s. And look at 6s again, I guess, and look at 4s. See if we did anything with 4s. Nope. So we finished that up. We know that's 1, 2. We know this is 1, 2, 9. We can double check and confirm that now. That it would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. Which, okay. Still doesn't really get us to that final space. I would have thought we would have solved this section way earlier than this. Way earlier. Now, I suspect maybe there's a trick here now where since we know this is 8, this could be 3 and 5, and then this would be 4. But then, or this could be 3, and this would be 4, or 2. We know it can't be 5, which doesn't mean anything. Really, we know it can't be 6, which just tells us kind of nothing too. We could eliminate 7 as a possibility, and let's see, can't have 6, so we should eliminate 2 as a possibility. Why did we eliminate 7 as a possibility just now? Let's put that back. Yeah, 1, 7, and then 4 and 3 still seem like a possibility. We can get rid of, let's see, 2 and 6, we can get rid of the 2. 3 and 5 can get you to 8. 4 and 4 would get you to 8, so that's not 4. And that's not 4 because you can't have 2 4s. And then 5 and 6, which you can't have 6. Gets rid of that 5. 5, 3, 7 can't be here. 5 and 3, 7 and 1. This can't be 1. Yeah, and I think that's pretty much the combination there. Which, from that, I guess we could get rid of 1s and get rid of 3s. And then we could get rid of 8s and 9s if that's correct. And then you have a 2, 4. It's assuming that's correct. And then we're just back to can't get a hint. So we speculated a lot to get to this point. It's probably worth it to just guess in that same spot. We could look through all the Sudoku possibilities and see if there was something, but it isn't going to be much. It's probably going to be nothing. Still massive parts and gaps here of the puzzle that we haven't even touched upon. Technically this can't be 7. So all I figured out was that that can't be 7. I guess these two can't be 7 either. But yeah. I'm just gonna have to guess. So let's just guess. Is this 1? No. Is this 3? Yes. Okay. We know that's a 3. We know that's a 5. That doesn't eliminate enough possibilities to do anything more. So then, is this a 2? No. Is this a 4? Yes. Okay. That doesn't seem like that eliminates enough possibilities either. If something would have changed, it would have been 5 or 4 or 3. Yeah. And let me just look at the entire puzzle here and waste some more time. Okay, 3, I guess at some point eliminated this down to being that a 3. That being a 3, you know, then these two have to be a 3. I don't think that info is going to help. Fours. 5s. 6s. Couldn't even get anywhere close to a single number being done legitimately. Although in fairness, in Sudoku, if you get one done legitimately, you are so close to the end. You're at the beginning of the end at least. Still can't get smart hands. Alright, so take a gamble here. 5? No? Alright, well then it's a 3. Does the 3 affect anything directly? No. 5 then affects this. It would let that get to a 6. Which then would let that be a 6. We finally have the 6s done. First digit. Yeah, and I don't know what you can say other than just the extra level of frustration there, in that you would have a potential massive amount of work just to get to this point, and then you still might hit a speed bump. This 1-2 pair here eliminates that 1-2, and then that eliminates this 1. I don't think basic Sudoku. Okay, there's only a 4 left in that spot. There's only a 5 left in that cube. And then you just hit a speed bump again, where the options are getting slim, really, really slim. This could be 2 and this could be 7. This can't be 2 because this can't be 7. This could be 8 and 1. This could be 8 and 1. Regardless, there's no 1 and 6 or anything, so we know that this has to be 9. That was a hint they said, and one of the handwritten hints. So once that got locked in, but I remember I had to guess quite a bit to get to this point. Once that gets locked in, that maybe helps a little to solve the rest of this. Now, getting the 1 locked in, that's our first box done. And I'm surprised we're getting this box done. That's our second box done. I guess that it was our third. There's a box here that's done also. And everything may now fall into place if in this last moment, everything I've typed in was still correct. The vast majority of what we're putting in right now were just boxes where I put in every single option and then did nothing more with those boxes. Yeah. There's a real feeling here on this puzzle that a significant number of the boxes are afterthoughts, that they don't play any real role to the puzzle. And arguably, if you were going to have afterthought pieces on the puzzle, maybe just fill in those as having the answer to begin with, or maybe you just find a better stopping position where you could have specific challenges where you present a Sudoku puzzle like this and it starts out blank with no numbers, but then you put just a little flag icon in the corner of one box and say, once you've solved what this digit is, that's all you have to do. You will just automatically get an accelerated animation that fills in the rest of the boxes and some fireworks and said, you did good enough. We're not going to make you do what you have to do in every single other Sudoku game where you are, I didn't mean to do that, every other Sudoku game you're spending at least 5 minutes just reducing all the possibilities, remaining possibilities, and typing in the numbers when that could be automated. Well, that's puzzle 20 complete, and maybe 160 minutes is not that crazy. Let's see. 160, 173, 153. It's not as bad as 223. Maybe we're getting a little bit better on time. It's not as bad as 200. What was our longest one? 243 Cuisinart rods, I believe, probably is the longest. But the only reason it took less time is because I gave up and failed. Just failed fast. And I guess that is a testament certainly to failing as fast as possible. Speaking of failing as fast as possible, since I wanted to show this the solution without all the pencil markings anyways, which, yeah, without the pencil markings it's a very different looking, without all the highlighting colors, it's a very different looking puzzle. Let's see, we're at about 25 seconds now. I'm going to just do this, and then I'm going to deselect every single one I can find. And I should be able to find one on every row and column. And this will only get easier as we go along. Let's see. It's not particularly the greatest system when you have a whole bunch of reds. I believe that's all the ones set. Maybe. I may have to go through this twice just because I'm missing a few. But I don't think it will take that long at all to highlight how easy it would be to cheat. And perhaps in the fact that it's so easy to cheat, they should highlight. There should be some kind of score system or too many error system to kind of prevent this, although you're only hurting yourself if you did this on the first try. And this is at least way more efficient of a way to do the puzzles and solve the puzzles than in Sudoku Universe, where you're just going to have a walkthrough in front of you, and then you're still going to have to type in all the numbers in a slower process. Yes, very quickly. If I have to go around a second time, I will have all the numbers filled in, because it's just gonna stand out like a sore thumb. So theoretically, I guess that this highlights all the places where I had messed up before. And the light blue and the dark blue is kind of a nightmare comparison, so I guess maybe they're intentionally trying to make it more difficult. So you can't just cheat this way, but I don't think that would really slow you down by much. There you go. So that's the puzzle in non-colored form, or colored background form is a better way to say that. And it does highlight that yes, you could cheat on even extremely difficult puzzles in less than 5 minutes. And frankly, if you were really fast, you could probably do it under 2.5 minutes if you just clicked all the buttons correctly. And honestly, that process is faster than any other way you would cheat. Even if you had every single number on a piece of paper and you were just typing it in, you would probably get a typo as you were typing in the numbers, even if you were a very fast typer. And yeah, no achievements per se around the doing the sample free game here. Maybe you get some achievements if you buy some of the DLC. Maybe you don't get the achievements at all. And no history here, so now we have what is just a downright lie of 4 minutes and 9 seconds compared to 173 minutes. Yeah. We're almost done though. The next puzzle will be 1 more star in difficulty, and then there are 2 more stars, 2 more puzzles after that. And I'm glad to be done with this series. It's taken way too long. After those 2, we'll have just these easier puzzles to wrap up with, and that should be fairly easy street to do these. But it still will seemingly take an entire episode to do just 1 puzzle. I don't think we're going to get anything any easier. Alright, well, that's going to be it for this recording. As always, I ask you to like, share, subscribe, comment, and watch every second of my videos. Thank you for watching. Have a good evening.